Now, the ANC's National Executive Committee says it's accepted that the party is on a downward spiral. The party has put together a renewal plan for the year ahead and says without renewing and rebuilding, the organization will fail at its mission. From the 20th to the 23rd of this month, the party held its planning meetings virtually. For more, we're joined by the national spokesperson, Pule Mabe, who's here with us in studio. Thank you very much for coming through, Mr. Mabe. Just in terms of your explanation at the Lekgotla last week, saying that you need renewal. This is a message that the ANC has been saying for quite a while. What is it that the party is thinking is going to put into motion this year for it to actually yield some fruit?
Well, Masego, we had our NEC from the 20th to the 21st, and then from the 22nd to the 23rd, we had our Lekgotla. The issue of renewal was one central feature that came out of our address at that seminal occasion for 110th anniversary in Polokwane this year. We had said that unless we do things differently, unless we entrust men and women of stature who could be trusted by society, the ANC will not be able to regain the confidence of the people it is expected to lead. We had pronounced ourselves on the need to establish the Renewal Commission. This came out in our January 8th statement. It also came out in the address of the president at the closing of the Lekgotla. Because our fundamental goal is that the Renewal Commission must help the ANC deal with all of the issues that do not augur well with the society that the African National Congress is expected to lead. How we advance our elective conferences, even as we go to the 55th National Conference of the ANC, which is expected to sit in December. We had said that that commission, led by Comrade Khalema Motlanti, must also begin dealing with the whole framework of how we are going to be electing our leaders, to make sure that we rid conference of the ANC of corruption, of the use of money, of patronage and all of that. Members of the ANC must be granted that opportunity to be able to select those that they deem fit to be able to lead them and advance the national democratic revolution, not because there's been patronage dispensed. So all of these things are part of the kind of renewal that the African National Congress is talking about. We also made an observation of how we fared at the local government elections. And we said that the message from our people was quite clear, that unless the ANC mend its own ways, it is going to lose its ability to govern. We have seen it with these municipalities. And we're quite focused on what needs to happen in 2024. We have also said that we must make sure that we have got internal capacity to deal with elections, do research, talk to our people, understand whether these municipalities that we're governing are fulfilling the promises that were promised our people. Especially on your IDPs, we go out, we do public participation, we allow our people to speak on the things that they want to see municipalities delivering for them. Just as I came in here, there was fire blowing all over in Mugijima in the Eastern Cape. That should be a worry. Yesterday we had an issue in Kangala, in Mpumalanga, where just a mob of thugs, were fighting an REC member of the African National Congress.
That's exactly what I wanted to come to in terms of my first question about what difference is the ANC going to make this time, because we know the address at the 110th anniversary, we know the closing of the president. These are words that have been said before.
Yes.
Even by the previous president, etc. So what is it? Because don't you think that the ANC and its squabbles, its internal squabbles, it's getting worse? It's more in the face of the public right now.
Well, I don't think. Well, it's not necessarily like that. The ANC is the only organization that is able to accept its own errors and then pronounce on a program.
After pronouncing, what's the action?
Look at what is our theme for the 110th anniversary. What we want to advance, our own democratic gains. And part of those democratic gains are the people of South Africa, communities taking charge. You see, Masego, it shouldn't be easy for someone to go out and destroy public property in a community while people are watching. Someone can't go out and ban a community hall or ban a library, which is supposed to contribute to the empowerment and development of the young ones. that use it to go out to read and all of that. You see, we used to have programs like Masibambane, Batupili, you know, all of those things, we need to resuscitate them. The ANC's ability to lead society can only be advanced if the people themselves work with us. The ANC as an organization, without the support, the cooperation of communities, it will not be able to discharge its mandate to lead.
And in terms of what I'm saying, in terms of it getting worse in the face of the public, political killings in KZN, it's something that is a thorn on your side, you have to admit.
Well, of course, I mean, it is a worry. And what we've always said is that law enforcement agencies need to act with the necessary speed. You see, a crime is a crime, whether it is committed in an ANC meeting, you know, against an ANC member, it is still a criminal act. We must act with the necessary speed. The killings in KZN, whether they happen in KZN or anywhere else in the country, the harassment of a regional executive committee member out in Kangala, in Mpumalanga, those individuals have got to be acted on. Acts of arson in Inokum Gijima in the Eastern Cape, those things have got to be acted on. The ANC can wake up not being in power tomorrow in some of those places. We don't govern Johannesburg today. So who are you going to blame if there's a problem in Deep Sloot, if there's a problem in Cosmos City, if there's a problem in Soweto? I mean, let's talk about the issue of illegal immigrants. Some political parties have been using this issue opportunistically.
What does the ANC, where's the ANC
the ANC's position is on, you see, we believe in Pan-Africanism, that we should be able to coexist as Africans, and that those that are here legitimately must be allowed to exist with all of us in the same way, because we understand that attaining our freedom was not the act of the ANC and the people of South Africa alone. We had to advance some of this work outside this country when we were banned. I mean, our next seminal occasion was in Morogoro in 1969. It was outside South African soil. And the people of Zambia still allowed us to advance our democratic wish for the people of South Africa. So we understand that those that are in the country illegally and committing acts of violence, selling products that have passed their sell-by dates, you know, causing our people to be sick and all of that, authorities must act against those. And we must commend the Department of Home Affairs. They are really acting to make sure that those experts who are in the country illegally are returned back home. You see, there's got to be proof. If you are in the country and you don't come from this country, you have got to show cause that you are a political refugee, or you are legitimately here with a work permit and all of that. But if you cannot produce some form of paper, some form of an explanation that provides for your legitimacy to be here, and you are only here to give retail and sell products that are ultimately going to deal with the health of our people, their authorities must act. But we have got to then say to our other political parties, those that do not use the issue of immigrants opportunistically, do not use it to advance violence in communities. We must, at all times, do these things in a manner that shows that we are interested constructively in building our own people, our own communities.
Pule, I don't know if you saw that video of a councillor, I think it's in the Eastern Cape, a female councillor being dragged out.
Yes, correct. I mean, I know, we've seen that. It's in Mbashe. She's an MMC, actually. The ANC Women's League has issued...
There were gunmen who went in there to physically remove her and try and...
It's quite unfortunate. It's good that the Provincial Executive Committee, through their Provincial Secretary, have issued a statement condemning that act. What we expect to follow now is the police, law enforcement agencies in the Eastern Cape to act against those men who were using their force. What was even worrying on that video was that there was a woman who actually said she's the head of security, who was trying to facilitate the removal of a councillor. That was a worry. We expect that, you see, we must take action.
The good thing is that that municipality is led by the African National Congress. We have already issued a directive through our provincial structure in the Eastern Cape that action must be taken. The Women's League was, you saw the Women's League, I mean, even with the issue of the Western Cape. I mean, there's a lot of things that the DA has been hiding from the public, which are now beginning to pop up. Because they need to know that when you want to govern, you must also make peace with the fact that some of your dirty linen is going to come out in public. You are seeing what is happening now. You know, the grooming of young girls in the Western Cape by some of their key leading features. We expect law enforcement agencies to act on those. The ANC Women's League is talking about the issue of GBV. The President of the Republic has ascended certain laws. Just on Thursday or Friday, they issued a statement around dealing with gender-based violence. We ought to show that we are serious about this thing. You know, a nation that cannot protect its women, its young girls, cannot be trusted with, even organizations that can't do that cannot be trusted with the ability to lead. So we are seeing these things, we are monitoring them. Actually, in every community, whether we are leading or not, our own comrades who are in what committees, who are in community policing forums, are monitoring all of these acts. And we have said that they must be the first ones to report these things to police authorities. It is members of the ANC that march to the courts. Whether it's Tsegofatso Pule's case or any other person that finds, or any other family that finds themselves in that case, it is only the ANC that mobilizes society. We take along all social partners to make sure that we deal with the issue of gender-based violence.
Pule, I just want to go back to the renewal point and the president speaking, etc. I know that it didn't come out of the report that the ANC sent to the media yesterday in terms of what came out of both these meetings, but was it discussed at all? The tourism minister, Lindiwe Sisulu, I mean, when I talk to you about this, I'm looking at the fact that, you know, you're saying that you want renewal, but you have a minister who publicly goes against the statement of the president. Can you see how it looks?
No. Masego, we have addressed this point over and over again. We will never have a National Executive Committee meeting of the ANC, such a self-respecting organization, 110, you know, that goes and discuss the conduct of an individual member.
Is the party concerned, though?
Well, the party has pronounced itself. The party has actually affirmed its position on the judiciary, because positions of the party are not dictated to by individual leaders. We are a collective. Individual leaders who express themselves sometimes go against positions of the party. There are structures of the organization that will deal with that.
I've moved from the judiciary part of it and what she said about the judiciary. She apologized. No, I didn't apologize.
No, look, those are matters that were dealt with at the level of government. We have affirmed our position as the African National Congress. And our position is simple. Our support for the independence of the judiciary, the work that they must do, our own democratic order, that important document called the Constitution, the Bible of the Republic, that we affirm it, we believe that it has got the Bill of Rights. It protects the rights of everyone. So any other person who wants to opportunistically start a debate about the Constitution, really that is their own individual purview. We are a self-respecting organization. We're not going to waste time, really, talking about views expressed by individuals. Remember, this is the year of conference.
Yeah.
You are going to have a lot of pop-ups in the ANC. We have a lot of things happening, and the president spoke about these things. So we are not going to be the ones that really enter the terrain of wanting to speak to views that are raised by individual National Executive Committee members. We're quite serious. We've got a lot of things to deal with. Part of what we must deal with is how do we make sure that we provide jobs for these matriculants that have performed well this year. I mean, they did quite well. We've got to make sure that when they finish their degrees, their diplomas in the next 3-4 years, they could be able to inherit a country that provides them with opportunities. It's no longer about speak. Where we say we are going to have a presidential employment stimulus program, it must be the people in communities that see the impact of those. We've got a lot of things to do. So concentrating or focusing our attentions on what is being said by individual leaders of the ANC when our people don't have jobs. Remember, part of why the people stayed away from not voting, it was not only because they were angry with corruption. whether it is in the ANC or it is in government, perceived or real, they were also angered by the fact that there are no jobs. The delivery of basic services, potholes in communities where they live. We have done this diagnosis, and we have appreciated that what made our people to stay away also has got to do with their social insecurity.
I'm running out of time, Pule, but I just need clarity from you. Is this whole debate about the ANC and the Political Party Funding Act and trying to change that, just give us clarity on that.
Well, of course, we have made a submission, and actually we're engaging our caucus in Parliament to be able to deal with amendments to the Political Party Funding Act, because it does put a threshold in terms of how much a political party could be able to raise. Now, when you look at a party like the ANC, which is this size, once you put some of these measures that disadvantages the party to raise what it needs so that it can be able to sustain its own operation, what you then see is what you have been seeing in the past few months. And thanks, I mean, our staffers have now been paid. That's why that question is not coming up. We end up not being able to really carry on with our obligations, part of those being to pay our own staff members, their salaries, and all of that. And we have said that the ANC, as part of looking at itself overall beyond renewal, it must also look at organizational redesign to ensure that it has got sufficient resources to be able to carry its own activities.
I did say that I've run out of time, Pule. A very short answer to this one. What is it that the ANC wants to see changing in the Act or the amendments? What amendments?
Part of the issues have got to deal with the thresholds. Remember now, the Political Party Funding Act puts threshold on how much a party can be able to raise in a year. So you need to remove that. The other issue has got to deal with disclosures. You know, when
so you don't want disclosures?
No, we don't have a problem with disclosures.
Okay.
It is the funders. Not every funder likes disclosing. You see, I mean, if you drive past the roads here and you meet people on the streets and they ask you for 10 rand, I'm sure sometimes you don't even tell them that you are Masego. If you have got 10 rand, you just open your purse and give it to them. I'm just saying, funders, some of them, you know, they are just philanthropists who want to help. And they help the ANC because they believe that by assisting the ANC, they are contributing towards advancing our democratic gains.
But the whole point of it coming out to the public who is funding the parties is for transparency, right? And to avoid corruption, etc.
But it doesn't mean that when a funder gives money without disclosing their own identity, they are corrupt.
Okay.
No. I mean, the other day I was asking my son a simple question, that in rows of 5, and then he had the 3 rows to sit on, which row would he choose? And you know what he said? He said he'll choose the middle row. And I said, why are you going to choose the middle row? He said, no, Dad, because I'm not outspoken. You know, so not everyone, Masego, is like you, appears on television, speaks to politicians and all of that.
Others are just about the ANC, but thank you very much. The interview was definitely not about me, it was about the ANC. Thank you very much. National spokesperson of the African National Congress, Pule Mabe.